Randy Country Seal has been the sheriff of Washington Parish and is now serving his third term. Since the parish's formation in 1819, numerous sheriffs have served their community, and now Randy Country Seal has brought unique leadership style to the role. He has been elected and re-elected with his constituents' trust and confidence. During his tenure, Mr. Seal has maintained high levels of public safety, improved law enforcement cooperation, and initiated innovative programs making Washington Parish a safer place to live and work. Mr. Seal is married to Sheila Brennan Seal, and they have been married for 37 years. They have 5 children, 4 living children, and 9 grandchildren. He was a teacher and coach for 15 and a half years, Washington Parish assessor for 18 years, and presently the sheriff for 12 years. Mr. Seal, will you take your seat at the podium table, please? Opponent, Jason E. Smith. Jason E. Smith retired from the U.S. Marine Corps as a lieutenant colonel in 2016 after 22 years of service. Mr. Smith joined the Marine Corps after graduating with honors from Louisiana State University. As an infantry officer, he commanded Marines at every rank during his service, including 2 combat deployments to Iraq as a company commander. After his service, he returned to take over his family's farm in Mount Hermon, where he began selling pasture-raised beef and lamb directly to customers and restaurants. He is married to the farmer Rebecca Alford of Mount Hermon, and they have 5 children. He is involved as a volunteer in his community, has served on several boards, and is a member of Mount Hermon Methodist Church. Mr. Smith, will you take your seat at the table, please? Mr. Seal, we will begin opening statement with you.
My name is Randy Country Seal. I've been a lifelong resident of Washington Parish for actually 72 years and 9 months. I was a resident of Washington Parish in my mother's womb, and my mother was a resident of Live Oak Community. My father grew up in Farmington. I love Washington Parish, and undoubtedly Washington Parish loves me. You've elected me for 30 years to serve you. Not only that, I worked as a teacher in this parish. My first job that I ever had was at Thomas Elementary School. I taught school there, loved every moment of it. And I want to thank you for letting me teach your children. Being elected assessor and being elected sheriff is a wonderful thing. But being able to teach your kids and you trust me with your children is even more wonderful. Not only did I teach them, but I coached them. And I've had a great, and I don't want to use the word past tense, I'm having a great career, and I love being the sheriff of this parish. I also want to let you know that I've never been too far from here. I'm a graduate of Southeastern, got my master's degree there. And I had 15 and a half years of education in teaching. But we've done a lot of great things at the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office was in total disarray when I became your sheriff. We were in debt. We were pretty much virtually bankrupt. Didn't have any vehicles. The sheriff before me sold them all. Sold anything that was worth driving so he could get out of there. But you trusted me, and we worked hard, and then 2 years ago we were able to buy $1 million worth of vehicles, completely paid for. Not only that, we've given the employees a 30 to 40% pay raise. So things are going good at the sheriff's office, and I want to ask you to let me continue working for you. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, opening statement.
I'm Jason Smith. I'm a farmer, I'm a business owner, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a retired Marine. And I chose to move back to Washington Parish when I retired in 2016, along with my wife, who's a public school teacher, and our 5 kids to take over our family's farm in Mount Hermon. Unfortunately, the reality of living in Washington Parish became evident to me. For too long, we've been ruled by career politicians who feel as if they're above the law and use their position to bully people. And I recognize with all the advantages that I've had in my life, that the people that don't have the advantages that I have don't stand a chance unless somebody's willing to stand up. So here I am running for sheriff of Washington Parish. I commanded Marines at every rank of my career, to include 2 combat tours to Iraq. I have the operational experience and the engaged leadership style that this parish needs to focus on public safety. We need to run the sheriff's department as an organization devoted to public safety and not as an extension of a re-election campaign. Crime continues to go up, drug abuse continues to go up, violence continues to go up, and we're being told that it's all fine and dandy. It's not fine, and I'm ready to take over as sheriff.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, in your own words, what are the duties and responsibilities for the office of sheriff of Washington Parish?
Well, there's 3 official duties. You are the tax collector, you're also the chief law enforcement officer, and you're also the executive of the court. But the main one that doesn't really get talked about, the job of sheriff really is supposed to free people from anxiety. That's the thing that I think is currently lacking in the current sheriff's department. People want to feel safe in their homes, they want to feel safe in their communities, they want a safe place for their children to be raised, and people do not feel safer now than they did 12 years ago.
Mr. Seals?
Mr. Smith, how do you know how people feel 12 years ago?
Mr.
You weren't
Seal?
even here.
Mr. Seals?
Yes.
I'm asking the questions and you're addressing the audience.
That is correct. That's part of my answer, ma'am.
Okay.
He hasn't been here in 12 years. I've been your sheriff for the last 12 years. He moved here 6 years ago. The sheriff's job is a very, very important job. And I don't know why he's saying that crime has gone up, because it sure hasn't. It's gone down in Washington Parish. We serve our people, we work hard, and we solve crimes. Of course, I would understand if you're gonna say that, if you're gonna run against an incumbent sheriff, you're supposed to say things like that. I understand that, Jason. But crime has not gone up, it's gone down. We have solved crime, we have solved major crime, and I am accessible to the people of this parish. That is part of the job of being sheriff. Matter of fact, being accessible and knowing the people of this parish is way more important than anything else. Because I'm gonna tell you, people come to me and they tell me things. We were able to solve a lot of crime because people have trust and they know their sheriff.
Thank you. Mr. Seal, there are many concerns about drug use and mental health issues being highly populated in Washington Parish. What practices will you use to address drug problems and mental health issues in the parish?
There are 64 sheriffs in this state. And I am, matter of fact, I've been endorsed by the sheriffs of this state. You'll see that coming out soon. So they know country sales, and they know that I'm attuned to the people and what's going on in this parish. They talk about the same problems that we have. There's no more mental health problems in Washington Parish than there are in any other parish. But that answer is going to have to be solved by either Mr. May or Mr. Weibel in Baton Rouge. The state of Louisiana does not provide money for mental health problems. You can get a coroner's commitment and we'll take them to the hospital, and they ask you two questions. Two questions. Are you gonna hurt yourself? No. Are you gonna hurt someone else? No. Go home. This is a farce, and it is sad that the state of Louisiana has this type of system to deal with the mental health in all of our parishes all across this state. So we're going to work with our representative and our senator to make sure that the state government provides more money for mental health. And we'll come back and discuss that more. I hope there's a continued question on that, because I want to tell you about the mental health that's in our jail.
Mr. Smith, there are many concerns about drug use and mental health issues being highly populated in Washington Parish. What practices will you use to address drug problems and mental health issues in the parish?
Well, I'm not sure what those concerns are. They clearly don't lie with the current sheriff. Of the 64 other parishes and the sheriffs that have endorsed him, none of them can vote here, and none of them live in our reality here. The fact is that the voters of the parish, the ones that have those concerns that you're talking about, 2 out of 3 of them chose to vote against the incumbent, and they had the choice. After 11 years, we haven't solved the problem. We're continuing to get worse, and we're ignoring it and saying it's the state's fault, it's somebody else's fault. The reality is we need to train the deputies to identify the things that you're talking about, and it's hard to do when you have a revolving door of people. We've had almost 35 oaths taken in the sheriff's department since February. All that means is that the patrol deputies that are out on the road don't know the communities that they're supposed to be servicing. So when they come to a call, they don't know the context, and they're more likely to make it worse by dealing with someone that's having a mental health crisis and put them into a confined facility like the jail. We want to get to the point where deputies are well-trained, they're confident in their skills, and we're using the volunteers and the other services across the parish in complement with the law enforcement agencies to make this parish safer and more peaceful.
Mr. Smith, if elected, what are your plans for hiring deputies and other personnel, and what will be your plan for creating diversity in the workplace?
Well, I think it's pretty apparent that the sheriff's department must reflect the community that it services. We don't have any black road deputies right now. We don't have any Hispanics. I think we have 1 Hispanic in the sheriff's department now. We have a large Hispanic community north of Franklin that's not being serviced currently. We have a large Hispanic community in Bogalusa. We also have Asian population that's moved in. We have certain Muslims that are. Washington Parish is changing, and the sheriff's department needs to reflect the community that it reflects. Currently, right now, it doesn't. My plan is to address that. There are qualified people that are not working in Washington Parish because of the climate within the sheriff's department. We can change that. We just have to have engaged leadership and affect them around in a positive manner.
Thank you. Mr. Seal, if elected, what are your plans for hiring deputies and other personnel, and what would be your plan for creating diversity in the workplace?
We're trying to hire anyone that we can that is qualified to work in the sheriff's office. Presently, all of our positions are filled. And let me tell you this, I am offended, and with Tanya and Sam and some of the other employees that are here should be offended, because we do have diversity in the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office. Sam is over our courthouse. She's a black lady. She's over the courthouse, and we're proud of that. I don't have any black patrol officers. I wish I did. We've had them in the past, but they've left and went to Bogalusa and went to other agencies, St. Tammany, because they pay more. And so, but we've given our people a 30–40% pay rate. But Tanya and some of the CG and some of the other ladies in our office handles $100 million a year collecting taxes and fines. And they're doing an outstanding job, and I'm very, very proud of them and proud of the diversity that we have in that office. Can we do better? Yeah, we can do better. Are we going to do better? Yeah, we can find people that is qualified. I'm not going to hire someone just because of who they are. They're going to have to be qualified to work for the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office. That's how you end up lawsuits when you don't hire well, good people, and we're going to do that.
Mr. Seal, domestic violence was another concern that was voiced by voters in the community. In your opinion, does Washington Parish have an issue with domestic violence? And if so, what are your plans for addressing domestic violence in the community, and how will you make sure that our children are protected?
But we're gonna continue to do what we've done in the past. We have, Louisiana has a law, it's not Country Seal's law, it's the law of the state, it's called the Gwynn's Law. The Gwynn's Law simply means if there's a domestic violence going on in a home and we get called to go there, that person or persons is going to jail. And they're gonna sit in jail for 5 days until they can go before a judge, personally before a judge, and the judge set a bond. Used to, it wasn't that way. If you broke the law, any law, including domestic violence, there was a bond set and you could bond out the same day or the next day. It's no longer the case, and it's a great law, and it should have been a law years ago. We're going to continue to protect the women and the children of this parish. Women are not to be beat on. Children are not to be beat on. They are to be spanked, but they're not to be beaten on. So we're going to continue to do what we've done. I'm proud of the record that we have, and we protect our women and we protect our children from people that aren't much of a man to hit on a woman.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, domestic violence was another concern that was voiced by voters in the community. In your opinion, does Washington Parish have an issue with domestic violence? And if so, what are your plans for addressing domestic violence in the community? And how will you make sure that our children are protected?
Yeah, so I think the answer is clear. Yes, we do have a problem because people are concerned about it. Doing more of what has gotten us to this point doesn't seem to be much of a solution. Otherwise, we wouldn't be concerned about it. I think it's a multifaceted issue. Anytime you have law enforcement that has to get into family domestic disputes. But there are certain things we could do across the board. Again, there's lots of volunteers that work with those types of situations. And the domestic disputes are also exacerbated by the fact that we've got a huge substance abuse problem within the parish. Children are being abused at a higher than average rate here in the parish. My wife, who I try to convince to quit teaching every day, deals with this on a daily basis. It really comes down to deputies being well trained and confident in their skills and knowing the communities in which they serve so that we don't make the situation worse when we roll on a call where domestic dispute is in question. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, you may now submit your closing statement.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to echo some statements that were made by the previous candidates. You know, this process has opened my eyes to a lot of things. I got out of the Marine Corps essentially to avoid politics. And the only reason I got into politics was because I recognized that there was a need, and I was in a unique position to do something about it. My family's been here for multiple generations, but I had the benefit of living outside Washington Parish for a long period of time. I've served with all kinds of people, I've lived in all kinds of places, and I've seen what's possible. I really think we're on the verge of being able to change the culture within Washington Parish and do something that hasn't been done in very many places. If you're concerned about the direction of the country, if you're concerned about the direction of the world, we don't have to go the way that everybody else is going. If you think that Washington Parish is behind the times, whether it's 20 years or 30 years or whatever it is, that's an opportunity. But we've got to take advantage of the opportunity. 2 out of 3 voters in the primary round are taking advantage of the opportunity. I'm looking forward to being your next sheriff. I can't wait to get started. I appreciate your support, and thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I too want to thank this organization, this group of people that invited me here today to let me speak to you. I love being your sheriff. I love serving the people of this parish. And I'm asking you to let me continue to serve. You know me, you trust me, and you know you can call me. I've been in office 30 years. You don't stay in office 30 years being a bad person. You can call it politics or whatever you want to call it, but I call it helping people and being there for the people. People call me all the time, day and night. I've got over 22,000 numbers in my phone. You know what that means? It means that I have talked to a lot of people, and I've got their phone numbers over the past 30 years. You know you can trust me. And when you trust somebody, you know you can talk to them. And I appreciate if you give me the opportunity to continue to serve you. And I want to tell you, this 2/3 of the people votes the score 0-0. We're going into the fourth quarter. The slate is clean. And I'm asking you to get out and vote for me. The person that you know. Kelvin, you talked about you can't ask a woman to marry you if you don't know her. Well, you can, but she's probably not going to marry you. You know me, and you trust me. This guy just got here. You don't really know him. And I'm asking you to help me, and don't vote for him just because you don't like me. Vote for me because you know me. And I'll be your sheriff, and I'll continue to not embarrass you. I haven't embarrassed you for 30 years. Now I got at the age I'm too old to embarrass you. So I'm asking you to help. And let me say this real quick. Every year my daddy grew a garden. We had the best garden around. Had the best old mule around. He was steady. He was good. He knew the groundwork. And I'm going to tell this story in 15 more seconds. Daddy got rid of him and got a new mule. Tore the whole garden up, didn't grow anything that year. You know this mule you got. Stick with him and let me continue to work for you. Thank you.